Hey everybody, and welcome back to my opera channel.
Hello.
I have a special guest this week, Thomas Elwin from Opera Show. If you don't know the Opera Show, you definitely should check it out. I've spoken about it before, but the link will be above his head. So click the link and go check it out after this video. You are a working opera singer.
Yes.
A full-fledged working opera singer.
Yes.
How did you get into singing?
Singing. Well, my mum will tell me that I first sang along to Postman Pat, which is a UK children's TV program. Used to sing along to the theme tune when I was 9 months old. But the first time I then started singing properly was maybe 5. And I got into the choir at St Paul's Cathedral in London. I was a choir boy there. And then sang, it was like a full-time job for 6 years until I was 13, so 7 to 13. And then...
It's very intense for a child.
Very intense. And actually, the guy who was the director of music, he would say to us, I treat you like adults, I treat you just like this is your job. And that was very intense. And then I did school after that. Well, I was at school at the same time. And then I wanted to be a teacher and a lawyer and doctor and engineer and all different things, and I went to university and studied music and actually started singing again properly and realised I really enjoyed it still, and I thought I'll go and sing in choirs again, that's what I know. So I sang in choirs and then professionally in choirs, and actually the UK scene is quite strong for being a professional choral singer.
Yeah.
And as a young tenor, I mean, not sort of being arrogant about it, I just sort of got work quite quickly because it seemed that easy.
Well, tenors and sopranos, you guys have it a little bit easier than mezzos
Yeah.
and baritos.
But then as soon as my voice started developing a bit towards not being necessarily the classic choral sound, I wasn't sure whether I was in the right world. And I did an opera, a friend of mine was putting on opera as an amateur production in North London, L'Elixir d'Amore, but in English, so the Elixir of Love.
Yeah, we had the magic potion in
Did you?
Israel. Yeah. It's like an hour long and in Hebrew. Yeah.
Oh, wow. And you still like opera? That's great. So yeah, I did the Elixir of Love. I did Nemorino when I was 21, and I was like, whoa, I really like this opera thing. That's really cool. So then I went and studied from the age of 23 to 27. So I'm now 32. So then I was studying, and then I worked in various places like Garsington Opera and Glyndebourne in the UK. And then I lost my voice for about 6 months and almost gave up. But when I got my voice back, I got a place in Stuttgart as a young artist.
Oh, that's a great place to start.
Which was great, and that sort of, I see Stuttgart as where my career started. So now that was 2014, it's been 4 years since I started there, and since then I've sung some big roles in places like in Stuttgart again and in Bregenz, and I jumped in at the English National Opera as a last minute replacement, and some small roles in other places, and so I feel like I'm working. I feel there's lots of work to do, and my ambition is, like lots of people, like La Scala, the Met, Covent Garden.
Yeah. I feel like you also need that ambition.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you get discouraged really quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, it really depends on the person, but I think if you want to keep going, you have to have ambition.
Yeah. And actually, I mean, that is important, and I do have ambition. But also, I try not to forget that the audience, wherever they are the people you want to be speaking to and singing to.
Right, you're not speaking to your ambition, you're speaking to them.
And when I stepped in at E&O, someone said to me, oh, this is amazing, just think what it could lead to. And I said, well, that's fine, yes. I can't lie and say I wasn't thinking that bit. But I was also thinking, I'm singing at the English National Opera.
Yeah.
That's pretty epic.
That's very epic.
And why can't I enjoy that moment and enjoy telling the story to the 2,000 people that were in the audience? Yeah,
get excited about your achievement so that because if you don't, it all becomes one mush that you don't get excited about. And
so actually, I would say to end that segment, opera wasn't an obvious thing for me. People in my family never went to the opera or knew opera really, and so to find myself being a working opera singer at this point is probably a bit of a surprise to everyone. But I think I was always going to be in music, and I did do theatre at school and stuff, so it seems, actually thinking about it, a logical step, and I love it and fight to keep doing it. Yeah, that's what you just gotta do. What is exactly a young artist program or like? Because I've mentioned it, but I haven't been to one, so. Well, they're all quite different. So Stuttgart's Young Artist Programme is relatively new compared to Zurich, for example, that's been there for 30 years, I think. Covent Garden has one which has been going for about the same amount of time. And depending on where you are, you always get a chance to be on the stage in main stage productions. Yeah. Often in small, tiny roles. sometimes medium roles. But then you also, at Covent Garden, I know you get lots of coachings and training from guest sort of conductors and singers, and you get movement coaches and all the stuff that you get at music school as well. But Stuttgart, that was a bit less of that. It felt a bit like you were sort of a first year apprentice within the opera company.
Oh, so you're like really part of the company?
Yeah, so I did almost 50 nights on stage in the 9 months I was there.
That's impressive.
Which felt like a lot, and I was in 7 productions. 5 of them were new productions, so they rehearsed for 6-7 weeks. So actually it felt like a full-time job for the year. And young artists don't get paid that great, so I had to sort out some funding for that, which is just part of being a young singer outside of Central Europe, where funding is much better, is raising money to sort of support your studies. That's something that I need to talk about on my channel a bit.
I need to talk about that too. I mean, I'm terrible at it. It's really awkward to ask people for money and be like, can you support me?
Yeah.
I mean, I did open up a Patreon account, but we'll see.
Check out Navi's Patreon account.
Yeah, link down below.
I mean, without sort of pushing it too hard, it's really, to create art needs people who support it, and Patreon's amazing because YouTube relies hugely on Patreon, the creation within it, and share the channel, like the channel, support the channel, notification bell, all those.
I wanted to ask you also, why did you start your channel?
Okay, so actually it's a connection to Stuttgart. When I was in Stuttgart, I did a blog called, because I did the title before the first one, and as soon as you do a title you can't change it. I did it called So You Want to Be an Opera Singer. And I decided to do a weekly blog for my whole time as a young artist. Partly because before I went there I knew nothing about working in Germany. And it's not like it's a surprise, like Germany has been the home of opera for years.
Ever since Wagner, basically.
Yeah, but in the UK, the staff here when I was studying didn't really share with me what the experience of working there would be like. So I wanted to write a blog sharing my experiences, sharing my sort of journey through from being a sort of very green young artist to the end of the year. I went on, I sang Ferrando and Così, which is a big role and has been important for me since. I stepped in having been understudying it, and it definitely feels like that story over the 44 weeks I wrote it was important for me to share, and actually I've read it back and it's important for me to remember the highs and lows of that.
Yeah, that's the great thing about documenting the stuff.
Yeah, and so when I came back to England briefly, I thought, how could I continue this? I didn't want to just write a blog about my career. And blogging's great, but actually the platforms for sharing content have changed. I mean, in my time since leaving university, Facebook and Twitter were created when I was at university, and YouTube. And I thought, well, then I spent some years working abroad, and YouTube was like my TV. So I actually followed people who've got nothing to do lots about.
Well, there aren't many of us.
No, it's true.
That was also one of the reasons. I was like, there's no one doing this.
Yeah. So then I was following all these people not about opera, and I thought, why is there not an opera one? And actually, so I thought I'd do it, and I've learned a lot doing it, and it's great to find sort of fellow opera content makers.
Yeah.
And I think the industry is ready for people like us to help them. I don't mean that in sort of an arrogant way, but they are very good at dealing with their typical audience, and not so good yet at opening up to their new audience, apart from sort of doing gimmicky things. And that's fine, but both of us, we're within opera, we love opera, but actually we're
the millennials.
Yeah, and we deal with the content in terms of we consume it ourselves.
Yeah.
And you can't say I'm going to be a social media guru if you don't do Twitter and Instagram and YouTube yourself. I don't understand how there can be PR people who don't actually have a Twitter account. So how do you know how people are interacting with it?
Yeah.
So I saw it, because I'm a bit of a social media addict, I saw maybe I could do something useful with this channel. And I'm very keen to say the channel's not about me, it is about opera.
No, your channel is very, I love the interviews, and I love how they're very short and concise, and you get a lot out of them. And you also interviewed not only singers, but also conductors and directors and
repetiteurs.
And it's not out there. You can only get, the hour-and-a-half long interview with the 3 main singers of the world, and it's like, okay, but there's so many more people.
So that, in a not very concise way, that's why the YouTube channel started.
Yeah. That's all, folks. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little video, and thanks, Tom, for being here.
Thank you.
Go check out Tom's channel. We also did a video over on his channel and on his podcast, and all of his information will be linked down below. So make sure you go check out all of his information, and I will see you all next week in a new video. And until then, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that little notification bell so you can be notified when I make a new video. And in the meantime, have a great week, and don't forget to drink lots and lots of tea, and go see an opera. Okay, bye now.